In today's video, we'll work on some factoring skills to help us with our equations. Here I have 3 examples. In the first example, we'll talk about greatest common factor. And so you're looking for something in common with the 2 terms here, which is cosine in this case. So I factor that out. That leaves me with what remains, which is 8 cosine of theta plus 4. From there, I use the zero product property to split them up, set them both equal to 0, and then I solve. The first equation has nothing to solve for, so the second equation I need to solve to get cosine theta by itself. And then once I do that, I have 2 answers for each of these equations, and so I have 4 answers total. The next example, we talk about grouping. Here, we're going to multiply the outside terms to get the negative 21, and so I'm looking for factors of negative 21 that add up to that middle term of 4. That is 7 and negative 3 in this case. And so once I figure out what those are, I move them down and attach the sine of theta to them. Remember that 7 sine of theta minus 3 sine of theta would actually add up to 4 sine of theta. So you're actually splitting up that middle term to get yourself a nice group of 4 terms so that you can actually do the next part of grouping. So I bring down the outside terms so I can complete this. And so what I'm going to do next is group the first 2 terms and the second 2 terms in parentheses. Then I'm looking for things that are greatest common factors, just like the first example. So I take out a sine of theta out of the first parentheses. That leaves me with 3 sine of theta plus 7. The second parentheses has a negative 1 in common, and so that leaves me with sine of theta plus 7. Notice that the parentheses are exactly the same, and that's what you want before you can move on. So once you have that, you can factor that out, and then that leaves you with what remains, which is sine of theta minus 1. And then zero product property allows me to split them up. And then I solve. So the first one, when I solve, that gets me sine of theta equals negative 7/3. That's less than negative 1, so it's not possible because it's not on the unit circle. So there's no solution there. Solving the second one, I get sine of theta equals 1. That gives me one solution of pi over 2. The third example is talking about difference of squares. This one's special in that the terms on the outside are perfect squares. So if you square root these, when you're putting them in parentheses, the first term goes in the first spot of both parentheses, which in this case is 2 tangent of theta. And then the square root of 9 is 3, and you put that in the second spot of the parentheses. To make this work, 1 needs to be plus, 1 needs to be minus. It doesn't matter the order. And then once you have that, you split them up because of zero product property, and you solve. So both of these, I can either add or subtract 3, divide by 2. That gets me my solutions, and I have 4 of them. So hopefully you found this factoring video to be helpful. Thanks for watching.